Welcome to the Cosmic Cafe show, where the paranormal, during this season finale show of season 1, is normal. My name is Eric Brown, and I'll be your host and server. For today's daily special at the cafe, we are brewing up a mix of theology and science and finding out if UFOs are really God's chariots. Why is there such a split between establishment scientists and ufologists? That's a tough word to pronounce, but ufologists. To help us answer these questions today is Ted Peters, an author, professor, and pastor. Ted has been deeply involved with asking, researching, and solving these questions for decades. Welcome to the cafe, Ted.
Eric, it's good to be in the Cosmic Cafe.
Thank you so much, and for our very special two-part season finale show for season 1.
Let's hope the Cosmic Coffee will last.
Let's hope so. Yes, absolutely.
I love my Cosmic Cafe cup.
Oh, thank you. I'll let you take it home with you tonight. How's that?
All right, thank you. Yes.
So what is going on with this struggle between the scientists and the ufologists and even...
Well, the way I put it is that if our establishment scientists at NASA or SETI have a barbecue, they don't invite any ufologists. And if the ufologists have a barbecue, they don't invite those establishment scientists either.
Oh, you know, that's
why
a very
not?
good point.
I have to, if I have to go to 2 different barbecues, I can't see them together.
Right.
And in many ways, our best scientists who are engaged in serious research about extraterrestrial life, they don't want to have anything to do with UFOs because they think the whole thing lacks scientific credibility. But what they don't know is that many people who are at the center of UFO investigation and research think of themselves as pursuing good science. In fact, the organization I work with, Mutual UFO Network, I'm the president, and many of the investigators have PhDs in the natural sciences and things like that. So there's more in common. Oh yes, in the UFO phenomenon, we've got a lot of kooks and nuts and wackos, and I teach in Berkeley. I just love that environment, to be sure. But in the core, there really is a scientific attitude.
Yes.
And I kind of like being in both groups, the ufologists and the research scientists.
Well, I'd definitely say that you've put yourself right smack in the middle of those 2 groups.
I have. In Berkeley, and if we could see slide 1.
Slide 1, okay.
We have a research center. It's called the Center for Theology and Natural Sciences. And
I think they got the slide up. Okay,
oh, good.
Yeah.
And you can see the picture of our journal there called Theology and Science. And there's a broken bridge. Actually, it's not broken. It's the Golden Gate Bridge while it's still under construction.
Yes.
What we would like to see
is that final connection.
That final connection, and have the traffic go both ways, from science to theology and from theology to science. We mean the best science, and we mean the best theology. And when we take a look at the UFO phenomenon, what we're really looking at is the relationship between science and culture.
Right.
Science isn't just what the guys and gals in the white coats do in the laboratory. No, it's a big cultural phenomenon about how people believe. And in many cases, science begins to actually absorb religious and spiritual dimensions, and we kind of want to smoke it out like a detective would.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people feel like they've been ridiculed if they say, oh, I believe in UFOs, or I believe in aliens from other planets. And so just that fear of feeling ridiculed kind of takes that gap in the bridge that you're talking about and starts pulling it away instead of getting it closer.
That really is a problem. And I'm a professor, and thank goodness I have tenure, but I can go to a cocktail party and I'll be introduced to somebody, and they'll say, oh, Dr. Peters, he studies UFOs. And the new person will say, I think I see somebody on the other side of the room I'd like to go and talk with. So yes, it does happen. But as I said before, I think there is a good reason for looking at the scientific dimension of UFOs. I mean, there are many other aspects to it, to be sure.
Right.
And there's a little more continuity, for good or ill,
Yeah.
between that and establishment science than most people give credit for.
Right.
So,
Wow. So it's an important work, and maybe we should talk about your latest book that
Yes.
actually got me really interested in having you on as our guest.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well,
yeah, you can
we
hold
just
up.
happen to have a copy here.
What a
Funny
coincidence.
thing, what
Yeah.
a coincidence.
We also
It's-
have a slide number 2 of our
Yeah, we
graphics
could
people
put
wanna
slide
pull it
number
up too.
2 up there.
Yeah.
It's called UFOs, God's Chariots, and I wrote the first edition in 1977.
Okay.
I had thought I had really explained the UFO phenomenon. I thought I knew what I was saying,
Right.
and I kind of published the book and thought, great, I don't need to do anything more on this. But then in the late 1980s, 1990s, the phenomenon changed a little bit.
Right.
And that said, you know what, I got to do a new edition. So this is the brand new edition. And here's the change, that for the first 30 or 40 years, from 1947 to say 1987, the UFO phenomenon had a certain shape. And people who believed in UFOs, or people who were abducted, or the contactees that would have a gospel of, you know, what the aliens are doing for us, pretty much saw the phenomenon as either benign or actually salvific, that the sky is going to bring down aliens who will bless planet Earth.
Yes.
Peace on Earth and things like that. But then a negative tone clicked in the late 80s and early 90s, and I was puzzled by that. It seemed inconsistent. So I felt like I needed to do some new research, and hence the second edition is better than the first.
Oh, well,
As it should be, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. Not like in the movie world where sometimes the sequel is worse, right?
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Luckily, not all sequels are worse. In fact, it's a lot of times some of the sequels we've come across are actually better than the original.
Yes.
So,
But when it comes to movies, I have a strong opinion. I'll bet you want to hear my opinion.
okay, why not? Why not, right? We got
There
a
are
little
only
time today.
two authentic UFO movies.
Okay.
The first one is The Day the Earth Stood Still in 1951.
Yes,
And
somehow
the
I thought-
remake didn't get the point. So you got to go back to the first one, 1951. Then the second authentic UFO movie, 1977, Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
My wife and I actually traveled to Devil's Tower there in
Oh,
Wyoming.
you did?
Yes, we couldn't.
Was it as dramatic as it appears in the film?
It was more dramatic. I would just
Yeah.
we pulled off to the side of the road and I was staring there looking. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the park was closed. We didn't get a chance to go tour
Did
it.
you see dead sheep laying around? And were there people with guns? That
Not
said
going to
you
talk
couldn't
about
come in?
that. Hey, I got a question,
Yeah.
curiosity. The book's title, UFOs,
Yes.
God's Chariots. How did that come about?
Well, I asked whether or not UFOs can be God's chariots in two respects, and I answer no, and I answer yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a very
Here's the no.
definitive-
The no has to do with the ancient astronaut theory, and you see so many documentary shows on History too, and there's a lot of books from Eric von Däniken in the 1970s down to the
Yes.
present time.
Actually, I
in
think he wrote
which-
a similar title book.
Yes, his was Chariots of the Gods,
Right.
and so I turned that into a question.
Yes, yeah.
Are they really Chariots of the Gods?
Right, with the question mark.
With a
Yes.
question mark.
Yes.
And if we're going to explain what ancient scripture said, or how the pyramids got built, or how the any ancient tribe came up with their symbolism or something like that, and you want to get rid of the religious explanation, you want to substitute a secular one. Well,
That's a big
instead of
statement from you.
angels or gods and goddesses, instead of them, we've got craft,
Right.
nuts and bolts craft from other planets landing and doing all of these things. It takes all the religious and spiritual dimensions out
Right.
and then substitutes science and technology. So we get a secular explanation for what had been spiritual motivations for centuries, if not millennia. And I want to say, what's going on here? So the first thing I do is try to go back over the scientific claims.
Mm-hmm.
Did it take aliens to build the pyramids? No, it didn't. We know how the pyramids were built. The instructions are right on the inside, including the names of the architects and the engineers and things like that. No, aliens don't help us explain the pyramids. You don't need an alien to explain things in the Bible or actually the scriptures of other religions either. So my first answer is no. UFOs are not God's chariots in light of the ancient astronaut theory, but the answer is yes in another respect.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get back to that movie of 1951, The Day the Earth Stood Still. What you see in that movie and in the contactees and with some abductees is that the aliens say, look, you people on Earth are in a big mess. You're threatening to destroy yourselves with nuclear war. We're telling you to get rid of those weapons. We're telling you to embrace peace on Earth. And I want to just say, you know, that's a good message.
Yeah.
And if God wants to send us that message with an alien and a flying saucer, I still think we ought to listen to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my yes. They are God's chariots.
Well, it seems like that there's a lot of ancient references in scriptures, as well as even in some of the old drawings or paintings of or even like in the Aztec, there carvings of like a UFO type vehicle, and they explain it with maybe like, I don't know, like bird feathers flying, or they're doing their best in their ancient capability and language capacity to explain something that's flying in the sky when they haven't achieved that technology for themselves.
Right.
And so it does make you wonder, did they see UFOs and turn it into a god in order to explain it?
I think it's reasonable actually to ask that question, and I do think that I, who am a critic, have an obligation to look on a case-by-case basis rather than, just have a blanket, oh no, I don't think it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it is possible that our ancestors actually did see strange things in the sky, and maybe they did have the same kind of UFO experience that we have today.
Right.
But it's a big jump from there to re-explain the great religions of the world, or re-explain the construction of the pyramids, either in Egypt or in Mesoamerica, to re-explain the achievements of our ancestors as if our ancestors were too stupid to figure this out on their own. They needed a little kind of extraterrestrial intelligent help. And it seems to me that we can pretty much account for the evolution and the technological progress of our ancestors without reference to aliens. And even if the ancient astronaut theory were correct, you still have to answer the question, well, where did the aliens get their intelligence?
Oh,
you still have, it's a step-by-step argument. So I think it's just easier, it's more parsimonious to think, you know what, our ancestors just developed over the centuries and over the millennia, and they advanced in science and advanced in technology and advanced on how to form city-states and empires, and certainly they advanced in how to make weapons, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. lot better than just going out and hunting game for a meal for a few days.
That's right,
yeah. The one thing I've always been, I hate to sound a little bit contradictory, but it seems like, at least to me, I'm touching my microphone. My director probably just went floored on that one. But anyways, it seems to me that the pyramids, my question's always been, okay, we have pyramids in Egypt. If those were the only pyramids on the face of the earth, I could see, okay, maybe some society decided to build pyramids and somehow they figured out how to do it, and they did it. But then you look at Machu Picchu and all these others here in Central America, South America, and there's pyramids being found in parts of Europe as well as in Asia, all around the world. Separate civilizations that
Yes.
really had no way of communicating with each other, knowing about each other, and oftentimes completely different religions. And it's like, why did a pyramid pop up there? Those are the questions that...
Well, I've got two responses. It's a good question.
Yes.
Why is something like a pyramid shape found in societies that probably had no communication with one another? First of all, let's talk religion, which is usually left out. You and I, perhaps as individuals, but definitely as societies, we like high places. You get up high, and you have this sense when you can see a very large horizon. You have this sense of, I'm powerful, and you have this sense of, boy, this is awesome. And you're also close to heaven. And so in religion after religion after religion in ancient society, there were various ways of connecting heaven and earth. One was to build a tower, the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11,
Right.
or the ziggurats in ancient Mesopotamia, or the pyramids in Egypt on down the line.
Right.
And then you have the whole concept of the shaman who flies to heaven and comes back. So it seems to me that the human spirit is going to build high places. Okay.
It's ironic you mentioned that, and I'll tell you why.
Right.
About 2 months ago, I hiked Pyramid Peak, which is a
Yeah.
mountain, one of the highest mountains in the
Right.
Sierra Nevada range, just about 10,000 feet high, and it has a 360-degree
Oh,
view.
yeah. How'd you feel?
It was amazing. I mean,
Right.
it's undescribable. You just have to do it. And
I have backpacked in the high Sierras. I just love that experience
Yeah.
to be on top of a cliff looking down.
But it's just funny, I hiked
Yeah.
Pyramid Peak, and here we're talking about
Okay.
pyramids.
Okay, so this is argument number one, why
Okay.
we don't need ancient astronauts to explain pyramids and high places. Here's number two.
Okay.
Are you ready?
No, let's wait a minute. No, just go ahead.
Okay. The ancient Mesopotamians and Egyptians had something really important. They had the wheel,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
We know because we have pictures of their chariots, et cetera. They had the wheel. If you go to Mesoamerica, Mexico, Guatemala, and you'll see pyramids there,
Yeah.
no wheels. No, when the Spanish arrived, there were no wheels. They transported things by pulling sledges.
Weird,
So
too.
if there were ancient astronauts who, both in Egypt and in Mexico, had said, we're going to teach you how to build a pyramid, why would they not give the Mexicans the wheel? My father was an engineer. He said, inventing the wheel, he says, that was minor. It's the person who invented the other three that we really ought to thank.
You have a good point. And, it is interesting that a thought occurred to me as you said that.
Right.
The ancient Mayans, we know, had the round wheel idea because their calendar is round.
That's right.
If they had just thought of tilting it up on its side and rolling it, I don't know how they got the thing around. Maybe they picked it up and carried it or something. But if they had thought about tilting it up, they might have.
Right. Everybody has roundness, but
Yeah,
not everybody has the wheel.
That goes to your dad's comment, though. The guy who decided to add 3 others to that
yes,
one wheel.
Of course. Right.
That's the true
Yeah.
innovation.
He was an engineer for General Motors. He always bragged a little bit.
Wow, well, we could definitely get on a tangent there. But
That's right.
So I know you brought some slides. Are there any other slides here that you
Well,
wanted
if we
to talk
could put
about?
up slide number 3 here.
Okay.
And what I do in this book, which is unique in the UFO phenomenon, is I look at structures of interpretation. Most people want to know, is the extraterrestrial hypothesis correct or not?
Okay.
I can't answer that.
Right.
But what makes the UFO phenomenon exciting is that people believe it's correct. And now I want to tease out the question, why?
Yes.
Well, I think there are 4 structures of interpretation: a political one, a scientific one, a religious one or spiritual one, and then finally this very odd phenomenon that we've had over the last 20 years, the so-called what I call the hybridizer model.
Oh, yes.
And on politics, there are two ways in which the UFO phenomenon is political. Number one is, if those people in those flying saucers are so smart, maybe they can solve our political problems for us, okay?
Well, good luck with that.
Good luck. But the second one is almost always overlooked, and that is, intrinsic to the UFO phenomenon is anger against the U.S. government.
Oh.
The U.S. government allegedly is hiding the secrets.
Yes.
They allegedly have crashed UFOs, they've got a conspiracy going, and
we all know they're over at Area 51, right?
Yes,
and they're lying
I've gone
about
to Area
it, right?
51, maybe you have too, and
been by there.
You'd be surprised how ordinary it looks. But at any rate, for some reason or another, there is this, in the UFO community, this fanatical, we got to get the government around the neck and squeeze out of the government all this information. So that's the political model. Then we got the scientific model, and that is, could these aliens coming here look like, are they scientists doing research on us? After all, when we sent our astronauts to the moon, they picked up some rocks and brought them home, you know, for research. So the aliens come here and they pick up rocks, but they also abduct human beings. They take their clothes off and they do anatomical examinations. I don't know if they take notes or not, but probably send this information back to a laboratory at Zeta 2 Reticuli or something like that. So what I'm saying is, they look like scientists coming here to do research on us because we associate going to space with science. One of the cases I looked at was the Pascagoula, Mississippi fisherman. I don't know if you know that case. It was famous for a little while, Calvin Parker. And
let me just go ahead and, before you get into that,
yeah, okay.
I know we're getting a little bit short on time. I don't want to run long, and I want to make sure people get your website and everything, and more information about your book.
There's information on my website. It's called tedstimelytake.com, all one word, tedstimelytake.com. And I have stuff there, a little bit on UFOs, a lot on the interaction between faith and science. And then I have some good old garden variety Christian theology on there as well. So
yeah, it's a very
tedstimelytake.com.
And they can also find it on the Cosmic Cafe along with your bio and everything. So I want to make sure to mention that as well.
That's right.
But yeah, I just want to make sure we snuck that in before we got too close to the end and run out of time.
All
so
right.
Go ahead and continue.
Well, okay, at any rate, in this case where a man named Charles Hickson is taken aboard a flying saucer, he says this little thing came out of the wall, wasn't attached by a wire, went all around his body.
Oh, wow.
I said, Charlie, what do you think they were doing? Some sort of examination.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
did he say it felt anything?
No, he didn't feel anything, but what I'm saying is it's mysterious.
Yes.
His interpretation is, oh, they're scientists doing an examination of my body.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, when you and I are confronted with something that's unidentified, remember, UFO is an unidentified thing, right?
This is true.
It looks to us like scientists are coming here to investigate us. We're the guinea pigs, and they're doing research on us. It makes a certain level of sense. So you got this political model and the scientific model, and we'll get to the harder ones in the next segment.
We're going to get into that. Okay, we'll save that as a teaser coming up. We have a little bit more time to keep talking. So I did have a question or a kind of observation.
Yeah.
Is, if you think about it, with some of the people that are just existing now on our planet, some of the small tribes that are in the very remote regions of the Amazon or Africa or maybe Asia, and we were to pick them up or pluck them out, and that's all they know is their little village, and then bring them here to Stanford or bring them to one of the other major universities where they could be examined. We have all the top-notch latest equipment, lasers, and all that. I think the people would feel the same way, wouldn't they? If like you and I were just taking up the ship right now and the orb was floating around us, their technology would freak us out, even as advanced as we are.
Yes,
but we're not advanced like they are.
But I would predict for a short time, not a long time. I had the privilege as well as the opportunity to help raise 2 Zulu boys.
Oh, no kidding.
In America.
Okay.
And they came from Zulu land and spent some time with our family. We got them educated and sent them back. Let me just say, they didn't have any trouble adapting to science and technology in our society.
Okay.
Not the slightest.
But they weren't at least freaked out a little bit at first when they were first
They
introduced
they
into
didn't
it?
seem to be. Actually, there's something intrinsic about technology that attracts people. Look
Oh.
at the popularity of cell phones
Oh,
all
this is
around the
true.
world. You know,
This
there
is
isn't
true.
anybody who can't adapt to a cell phone. No, I think technology just really invites our curiosity and gets us involved. And also, if my experience with 2 young Zulu men, they're grown now with families.
Okay.
They're not just attracted to it; they love it. They want to learn it. They want to master it.
Yeah.
What we had trouble with was pets, because
Oh,
in
really?
Zululand, man, you never have animals in the house. They're all outside. So they come to America and they say, well, "What's that dog doing in the house here?"
That's
right.
That's very
That
interesting.
surprised me. Yeah.
That's surprising. Well, I think we're drawing close
Right.
to the end of this half of our season 1 finale.
Yes.
And so we've definitely given the folks some things to think about. What are, very quickly, what are a couple of things we're going to cover for the second half so they know to
Well, we're going
definitely
to
watch the second
in the
half?
next segment,
Yes.
we're going to take a look at 2 more structures of interpretation. I'm going to show how the UFO phenomenon is a disguised form of religion.
Okay.
How there's a myth at work in the UFO phenomenon that gets overlooked.
Yes.
And then I'm going to deal with this tough question: why is it that some abductees claim to have such a negative experience, that they get abused, and that they claim that they have hybrid children that are a mixture of
Wow.
heaven and earth?
Well, let me go ahead and we'll leave the teases there. I just need to let everybody know. Thank you again for helping with this half.
Eric?
And everybody, make sure you go
Good
to
to
the
be with you.
website cosmiccafeshow.com. Again, that's cosmiccafeshow.com. I want to also thank all the production team here that's helped with this show and will be helping with the second half. I want to thank the Media Center, but more importantly, I want to thank your local public access station that is carrying this program. Please be sure to support them, and thank you very much for watching.
Eric?
Yeah, it's been good. So
Good.
I'm looking forward to the second half for sure.
Yes.
So, yeah.
No, that wasn't quite too long.